Hello, dear friends. Today we will familiarize ourselves with the diary of a German tank crew member. The text shows perfectly the character of the author and his attitude to the war. Joachim Scholl was a commander of a Panzer VI Tiger tank with the number 232 inches in the 2nd Company of the 102 SS Panzer Battalion, Das Reich. While he was not as famous as some other tank commanders, he managed to destroy 76 enemy tanks. Remember to rate this video, and here we go. Kursk, Operation Citadel. This is the moment he decided to start his diary. July 10th, 1943. It is my first fight on a Tiger tank. All night I was reading and rereading the instructions for the combat operation of this fighting vehicle. Looking back at the past training period, I replayed in my mind various situations. I feel very nervous. I do not remember such a strong concentration of forces on both sides since the beginning of Operation Barbarossa. Anyway, no need to torture myself, it will happen, and I have to do my best in this battle. There was nothing special about my first battle on the Tiger. Everything was normal. We were under fire for a few minutes, but the shelling was disorganized. Several projectiles hit the armor of my Tiger. It was not good news for me. We moved forward about 8 kilometers. The advance was badly slowed down by minefields and bothering enemy planes. Usha scored 2 victories, but I will nevertheless gain my 100 marks that we, me, Gert and Usha had bet upon who would have the greatest combat score by war's end. It will be a new day tomorrow, July 11th and 12th. Yes, I got my first victory. Okay, it was only a tractor pulling an artillery gun, but it's still a destroyed weapon. My gunner, Karl, shot about 30 rounds at it. Heaven only knows where he was trained to take aim. Usha scored 3 more hits. Borov was way ahead of me. I guess he got a much better gunner. I heard that we lost 4 Tigers in the minefields today. I've become very wary of moving forward. I'm planning to pull back a bit and wait while Ulrich examines the advance route carefully. July 15th. What a day. I think we knocked out 5 tanks today. In fact, I'm not sure exactly because there was so much dust and so many tanks around. It was hard to detect even a target. One moment in the battle, I almost ordered to open fire on our Stug. It seemed to me that it was the Russian one. I do know for sure that I destroyed a Russian self-propelled gun, as it was only 50 meters in front of me. Its pieces flew even to my Tiger and banged on the armor. I mean, this is insane. During training, we were told that we were supposed to hit targets at long distances. It never had crossed my mind that they meant those distances. I think we also destroyed several of the enemy's anti-tank guns, as all of us, including Gert, Karl and me, were shelling their positions with high explosive shells. July 16th. It was another day in hell. The communists gave us hell on the field of battle. We destroyed a unit of enemy infantry attempting to outflank our grenadiers. We could hear even inside the Tiger, our grenadiers cheerfully shouting each time another of our shells fell right into the middle of the Russians. With such backing, we felt great. Although I have to say that it was not a pleasure to watch body pieces flying all over the place. Our loader, Bertie, vomited twice straight into the empty shell storage cells. He's going to clean it up himself. Another night has come. I'm trying to sleep. I doubt I'm going to make it. I cannot get a good night's sleep for 3 days. July 19th. This fight isn't going well for us. I heard rumors that the Russian troops are here much larger than expected. I also heard that the army tank battalions of Tiger tanks engaged in fighting far ahead are already suffering heavy losses. It's disturbing and frightening. Our position is nearly overwhelmed by Russian troops. We requested artillery and air support as we were running low on high explosive shells. We managed to push about 2,000 Russians into a ravine by crossfire. We had already reloaded our machine gun belts 3 times and 3 times replenished our stock of high explosive shells. I had never witnessed so much blood before. Bert leaned down and yelled in my ear until he figured out the reason for my condition. It was a day I'll never forget. July 20th. We had an anti-tank shell hit our side armor today. It broke the protective visor over the track. What we thought it was the end and that our track was torn up. But our driver, Robert, said that the Tiger was still running and handling well. In the meantime, Usha dispatched 2 shells one by one at the position of the anti-tank guns and destroyed both of them. We have not yet moved into Prokhorovka. The communists hold very strong defenses there. I don't believe we're going to take that settlement. We destroy the enemy's assault guns in large numbers. Usha said that we wouldn't count them in our bet. This made me upset and angry since I am already 10 victories behind him in this case. July 21st, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. Can you imagine it? Our terror-causing tank has broken down. Robert believes it's a transmission problem. We're waiting to be evacuated to a repair shop. I hope we don't have to change to a Panzer III or anything like that while we wait for our tank to be fixed. 11 a.m., we are getting towed to the repair shop by a Tiger tank from the 503rd Battalion. The crew has known us for quite some time. Their commander was killed recently, so I leave them alone with their thoughts. 2 p.m., we arrived at the repair shops. There are 8 Tigers in line for repairs from different units. Some of them had numerous projectile damage marks on their armor, so I thought we were still the lucky ones. I approached Johann Fohn. He had recently graduated and married a Chinese woman he met during his studies in Berlin. Right now, he's just a silly 20-year-old kid. I have no intention of getting married until the war is over. The repairman said we had to wait about 3 days for them to get our tank in order. So we reported to headquarters and asked for a little rest. I need to rest. I see those mutilated bodies in the ravine to this day. July 23rd. Something happened to us. We were driving back to our unit. The road took us through a small village. Robert spotted one of the policemen kicking an old Russian man. He jumped out of the vehicle and ran the policeman to the ground. The policeman's fellow came over and Robert was taken away, probably for charging. Oh, great. I was left without a driver because these policemen are trying to extend their influence everywhere and anywhere. I went up to the second policeman and said that if they wouldn't return Robert to me, I would take them to the front line and show them that ravine with the mutilated bodies. In return, the policeman shrugged his shoulders and said he had seen things worse. Where can these policemen see worse things if they have never even been on the front line? But I refused to argue, and Robert was released by our commander. July 24th. Robert came back again having some pretty noticeable scratches on his face. He'd probably gotten a kick out of the policeman. They let him go without permission to leave the location of his unit. Where is he supposed to go? I mean, how can he possibly leave the location of his unit? I made a complaint alleging that Robert suffered physical injuries that seriously impede his ability to do his job. Our tank still hasn't been repaired. The chief engineer said it will take 2 more days to repair. I am very upset. Usha during this time has made more in the number of victories. July 25th. Finally, our tank is repaired. The mechanics worked all night because the strongest special order came to return all tanks to the front urgently. Generally, the things are going quite badly. On our way back, we got an order to tow another damaged Tiger for repair. Excellent. It turned out to be Usha's tank. Now I have a great chance to overtake him in terms of results. We made jokes on our way to the repair shops. Sometimes he was angry about the mess that was going on at the front. He said that no one knows the whereabouts of neighboring units, and the Russians are pressing in like a solid brown wall. In his words, the Russians are completely ignoring their losses. Sadly, our forces are pretty beaten up too. He also mentioned that there were only 3 tanks left in the 2nd Company, July 27th. I didn't hit any targets today. We have been shooting all day, but because of the thick dust clouds and smoke, I have no idea what we have hit there, or if we have hit anything at all. I am very tired, and the crew is pretty tired too. Robert has twice almost fallen asleep on the move. Carl said we wiped out a couple of guns, 1 T-34, and a lot of infantry. I can't confirm any of that though, but I'll make these victories known anyway, as I'm still in this contest for 200 marks. July 28th. Today we were ordered to withdraw and regroup. It was the first time since the beginning of Operation Citadel that I had seen the whole company in full formation. We lost a few tanks, most of them due to technical problems, but some were destroyed in minefields. Young Gert was badly wounded and was sent to Berlin. Usha said that Gert's right arm would be cut off and the bet would now remain just between the 2 of us. I said that Usha had won that bet and we would have a new one when Gert came back. In fact, I didn't have such a great need for 100 marks yet. We are heading back to the city of Belgorod. We met a group of infantrymen on our way. They seemed tired and sad. I felt sorry for them, so I asked them to climb up on the armor. They settled down behind the turret. Robert talked all the way until Carl and I grew impatient and told him to shut up. As an officer, I wasn't supposed to do that. I hadn't lost control of myself, but after this month of fighting, I would never be the same anymore. Battles for Kharkov and WWII. Kharkov, August 21st, 1943. We retreated and fought for 2 days. There was some damage to our tank, but it was nothing serious that would affect its operational capability. Carl is becoming a great gunner. He is still not so confident with targets at long ranges, but today he hit a T-34 at a distance of 1,800 meters. He makes me very proud of him. He destroyed 4 tanks today before their crews had a chance to figure out who was firing at them. This is our best day so far. I suppose our bet with Usha is not going to be finalized that fast. I currently have 18 confirmed destroyed enemy tanks behind me. In addition, over 50 guns and other equipment, and a lot of Russian soldiers. Usha says he already has 30 destroyed Russian tanks behind him, but I know he is cunning and claims destroyed guns as destroyed tanks. August 22nd. Today we got 2 hits in frontal armor. One of them hit the observation device of our driver. I don't want to imagine what Robert felt. Glad that my position in the battle is not right next to him. We feel much more confident now, because none of those T-34s are able to hit through our frontal armor. 3 guns were destroyed by Carl today, as well as several loaded trucks. We already got a nickname, Truck Specialists. So, what can I do? Where can I find a few normal tanks if they have been out of sight for a long time? I cannot find the right words to say about my commander, who sent us far ahead as part of a platoon. August 23rd. I wiped out my last entry in my diary. Today, our tank was assigned as leader because our previous leader, Young Phone's Tiger, got stuck in a ravine. Idiot. Our Tiger has already been hit at least 10 times today, and each hit was followed by a loud metallic sound. One of the shells made a hole in the ammunition box. We destroyed 2 T-34s, a gun, and 5 more trucks. I hinted to the commander that I wasn't keen on being the leading tank. He laughed and told me to take it easy. And I do worry. August 24th. That idiot Phone pushed his Tiger into the mud so that the gun buried itself in the ground almost half its length. The mechanics managed to get everything of value off the tank before the crew destroyed it. It's unforgivable carelessness and waste in a time when we so badly need all of the tanks we have. My Tiger is under repair again. There's a small problem with the fuel system. It shouldn't take long. I had a talk with a guy from a new battalion equipped with Panther tanks. He mentioned that their tanks were no worse than the Tigers as long as they were running. I laughed at that, and laughed until he said that he had destroyed about 100 Russian tanks. Bertie and Usha said he must be lying, and that they had only heard of Karius and Knispel from the army battalions fighting on Panthers, getting any closer to that number of victories. August 25th. There was a big battle today. We lost several medium tanks. There were no Tigers lost. I was again the rear of the platoon. I couldn't hit many tanks from this position, but I didn't have any hits either, except the machine gun and rifle hits. When the Tiger was on the move, I couldn't even hear those hits, but I could definitely see the tracers approaching us from all sides. After a couple of our shots, the shelling ceased. I guess the Russians are afraid of the Tigers. Everyone we see on our way is running away wherever they can. The leading Tigers have already destroyed a large number of T-34s and guns. Usha even shot up a couple of those new KV-1 box-like tanks. It was easy, he said, because they are so tall. They are visible from several kilometers away. August 27th. We broke down again. Problems with the transmission again. The engine also runs somehow abnormal. Robert says there's dirt accumulated in the carburetor. I am not very good with these things. I have no inclination for mechanics. We were towed back towards Kharkov, back to the location of the repair base. We were going to have some beers tonight. I can't wait anymore. August 28th. I failed to drink beer. We were given a new Tiger and sent back to the front lines. The Russians made a massive attack on our positions. They kept up artillery fire on us for several hours. I do not like artillery bombardment, as I have no means of doing anything about it. Our artillery fired in return. I hope they hit the Soviet artillery positions. We were waiting in a small wood along with Thomas and Paul. Thomas had just recently joined us at the front, and Paul had already hit one KV-1. Usha was right, the KV-1 is an easy target. While Paul reloaded, we hit the KV-1 too. We also destroyed 2 guns and our now routine norm of trucks. August 29th. Today we had to retreat. The impression is that the Russians have an endless number of soldiers and tanks, and they are running into us one wave after another. There were at least several hundred T-34S and KV-1S on the battlefield. I was pretty scared. It was the first time I felt like I was done here. I would not like to be left for dead in Russia. Karl kept firing until we ran out of shells. After that, we had nothing to do but turn around and pull back to our infantry positions. We saw a group of infantrymen coming toward us to cover us from the advancing Russians. After this episode, I had the respect and gratefulness for these men. August 30th. We talked with Usha and Paul for a long time today about yesterday's events. They believe we need more Tigers. I agreed. Paul said that the idea is good as long as the Russians don't have a tank that is equally strong. I made up my mind that this diary would never leave my breast pocket. Usha was given the Panzer Assault Badge, and we were all honored with War Merit Crosses. I am very proud about that. Bobruisk, October 3rd, 1943. It was another big battle. I was sick of being on the defensive, though it's easier to destroy the enemy in defense. Bertie camouflaged our Tiger. The frost is severe today. I have 3 coats on, and I'm almost hardly scribbling these lines, as my fingers are not bending at all. October 5th. We are still in ambush, and the fallen snow makes us almost invisible. We have heard that tomorrow there will be a battle, as our reconnaissance men have found a concentration of Russian troops to the east of us. I cannot realize how these Russians can even think of fighting in such weather. October 6th. It seems that the reconnaissance men were right. The cowardly Russians made an attempt to attack us this morning. Our camouflage did a great job. We killed them with machine guns before they realized what was going on. I think they assumed that they were just machine gun crews, because their T-34S kept coming at us without slowing down until Paul and I threw off our camouflage and pulled our Tigers towards them. We managed to get 3 of them down when they finally realized the situation and started to retreat. We pursued them to the end of the hill and left them to our infantry. We were still keeping up a fire on them, but they were falling back on the reverse with as much speed as they had been advancing a few minutes before. We chased up the retreating Russian infantry, which was not so fast, and moved through their lines. There was already a considerable amount of frozen blood on the track guards. October 8th. We had the superiority today. The Russian Cossacks were advancing on us today. The overheating of the barrels of our machine guns was extreme. Usha commented that the barrel of our hull-mounted machine gun was as red as the communist flag. The day after we returned, we changed the barrels of all our machine guns. Bertie was displeased that he had to go outside all the time and fix the camouflage in the cold. I made it clear to him that he was the youngest among us, he had the lowest rank, and furthermore it was his direct duty. We pushed him outside, and after 5 minutes of his moaning, we went out to help him. We were wrong to do that. I heated up for an hour afterward. October 9th. Our tank was totally frozen today. We used a flamethrower to melt the ice and mud that blocked the tracks. Ulrich snatched a portable heater from the Luftwaffe communications station. I suppose they were not very happy about it, but the heater fit very nicely in our ammunition box. We changed the barrels on the machine guns, and together with Paul, we destroyed a Russian artillery battery. This was such an easy thing to do. We just climbed to the top of the hill and fired on it from there. It was wonderful to see the guns that had been bothering us blown to pieces. What I especially enjoyed was the second explosion when their shells detonated. October 10th. Paul and I were given orders to annihilate several more Russian artillery batteries. 3 armored personnel carriers with infantry were sent from the division to help us. A Luftwaffe reconnaissance officer reported that he had found 2 batteries of rocket mortars 10 kilometers away from us on top of a hill. With ease, we destroyed the rocket launchers, which exploded into fireballs. For fun, Usha aimed at a concentration of trucks that I think were carrying the rockets. A powerful explosion destroyed and crushed everything in and near the trucks. It melted the snow around the Russian positions for a considerable distance. The infantry, assisted by us, finished the crushing of the Russians. October 11th, we were totally frozen. At night, the temperature fell below 20 degrees Celsius. The fuel is frozen in the engine and the tracks are completely icy. In addition, a blizzard came through just now. I don't think the Russians will launch an attack today. I think I want to go to Africa. October 12th, we're still frozen. The snow is so deep that it is quite a problem in moving around. We were attacked by Cossacks today, but we beat off their attack. It is rumored that we will be moved near Kiev. There are large heaters around the tank in an attempt to thaw it out. October 16th, Ulrich got frostbite. It looks terrible. The medics treated his wounds hastily, but his left arm is still inoperable. Still in that condition, though, he can handle a radio and a machine gun. Finally, our Tiger was unfrozen, and we wiped out another artillery battery that the Russians had set up behind the farm. It was easy. The Russians made such noise with their truck engines that they never even heard us coming. Only 3 shells and 1 machine gun belt were enough to destroy them. The infantry captured a dozen prisoners. Some of them were almost children. This led to the thought that if the Russians started using children, the state of their forces was not so good. October 24th. The fighting in our area has subsided, so we are being moved to help the forces near Kiev. I feel bad for the mechanics who have to change tank tracks in the cold. I was seriously afraid of being left without tracks if the shelling starts now. I don't even want to think about it. November 3rd, 1943. We engaged in battle on the way from the arrival station. The Russians advanced pretty far. We regained control, but the situation is still serious. We launched our attack at night. I like the local nights in contrast to the local frost. The snow gives us easy target recognition. We opened fire straight at a concentration of Russian infantry. I hope none of them were kids like the ones we saw among the prisoners at WWII. November 5th. It was another day of severe fighting. We had a mission for 14 hours with no break. The Russians won't let us through that easily. I destroyed 2 more KV-1S and 1 gun. Karl got them at long distance. He is becoming more and more skillful, taking aim at long range. It seems we have some problem with the turret pivot mechanism. I am quickly detecting the targets, but by the time our turret is turning around, the target is either gone or has already been destroyed by someone else in our company. Robert believes it's the grease that's frozen. November 6th. Today we find ourselves in the midst of the battle. The Russians are coming at us from all over. We got about 10 hits on various parts of the Tiger. I hate that metallic sound when a shell hits the armor. We had a good fight. We destroyed 3 T-34S and lots of guns and trucks. We came across a crowd of Russian infantrymen. By the time we opened fire on them, they almost wiped us out. All around us it was chaos. I accept congratulations from the commander and Usha, although they destroyed more tanks today than I did. I realized that the second bet was not a good idea. November 9th. I am very proud today. I was awarded the Iron Cross Second Class for the battles I fought a few days ago. Usha and Paul both gave me congratulations. All of us are being assigned to form our own battalion. We are to be called the 102nd SS Heavy Panzer Battalion, Das Reich. Good, with our new Tigers, we have to return to Moscow to join the battle. On November 11th, his Tiger was hit during the fighting on the outskirts of Kiev. The crew left the tank. The Russian infantry opened fire. Bertie and Ulrich were not wounded. Joachim was shot in the right leg. Karl was wounded in the shoulder, and Robert was tragically killed at once. They made it to their troops and were sent to Berlin for treatment, and they spent Christmas in the hospital. After treatment, they were sent to Italy, where the new 102nd SS Heavy Panzer Battalion, Das Reich, was being formed. A period of reorganization in Italy and military service in France before the Allied landings in Normandy, Italy. January 3rd, 1944. It has come to our attention that the African Corps has surrendered. I am not glad about that at all. Things are getting very bad. The pain I have in my right leg is almost gone, something that can't be said for my heart. Our new driver is arriving today with the rest of the battalion. There are so many young men in the arriving reinforcements. It worries me that if we are so much dependent on young recruits already, it means that our losses at the front are very high indeed. It should be noted that the Hitler Youth are great fighters, so it's not all bad. This is such a boring place. The Italian soldiers like our tank. Many of them take pictures in front of it. I do not enjoy taking pictures. This place is still very boring. The nearest town is 20 kilometers away, but we are not allowed to go there. In any case, it is better somewhere else than on the cold Eastern Front. January 4th. Today I got to know our new driver. His name is Helmut. He was assigned to us from the Totenkopf division, and he is older in age than I am. He has been fighting in Russia and seems to be a great guy who knows perfectly how the Tiger operates. I'm very pleased, as many others got timid young kids. I was assigned to the second company of our new battalion. We were given a new Tiger and assigned the number 232. It had a Zimmerit coating over the entire hull, this is for mine countermeasures, and camouflage coloring. I liked it. Usha wandered around and showed off that he had painted rings of destroyed targets on the gun of his Tiger. He began to tease me and said that I shouldn't worry about it, because it was necessary to draw only rings according to the number of destroyed tanks, and I, as we know, am a truck specialist, not a tank guy. I decided to draw rings of destroyed targets too. That's about 27 tanks in all. But I decided to draw a truck with the number 100 inside to provoke Usha. We made another bet with him before going to France. January 6th, 1944. We are ready to be sent to France. There we would practice and train to repel a possible American and British landing in France. Usha said he had a conversation with a Panzer IV loader who had served in the African Corps. The man told him that American and British tanks can be very easy to destroy, especially those called Shermans. He said they burst into flames from the first hit. The African Corps soldiers call them Tommy Cookers because the crews never practically have time to leave the tank when it catches fire. I prepared myself to face them in the future. Usha said that American and British tanks can't break through any point in the Tiger's armor at all. It looks like we will have a good time with them. January 10th, we are taken by rail to France. That's great. It is almost like being at home in Berlin. I went on a holiday somewhere. This is a nice, comfortable passenger train. They feed us very well, and we have plenty of time to catch a good night's sleep. I won 150 marks playing cards. I feel great. It's the first time since our first bet that I've beaten him to win his money, even if it was just playing cards. The spirit of our battalion is very high. I feel just fine. My leg pain is finally gone. We smuggled a lot of wine onto the train, which we bought from an Italian farmer. Tonight we intend to get drunk. It is still 2 days' way to France, January 11th. Oh, what a headache. This Italian wine is so mild, but you lose control of yourself completely after 2 bottles. Take my advice, don't drink on the train. Now I have a noise and a ringing in my head. We are already in Germany. The landscape is different. There are craters and bomb damage all around the Ruhr. Paul says the Americans are bombarding us continuously. I must not forget to talk to a Luftwaffe liaison officer about it. I had a nice talk with our new commander. His name is Thomas. He is young but ambitious. He goes with our platoon. I think his Tiger will be on my left flank. It seems to me that I can trust him. France, January 13th, 1944. So here we are in France. 4 years had passed since I had been here for the last time. Over that time I've changed from a small box-like Panzer II to a Tiger tank. I wish I had a Tiger back then, 4 years ago. I gambled my money away playing cards that night. Note to self, you never play cards with Usha again if you've already beaten him once. Also destroy as many tanks as possible so you don't see that nasty grin on his face and earn the moniker Truck Killer. January 16th, the tank is ready. We are off to do maneuvers in cooperation with the local infantry regiment. It would be a great experience for them to engage in combat alongside our Tigers. We were warned that we should have a good tank guard organized, as there are quite a few partisans around. They call themselves a resistance movement and can be quite dangerous. I am finding that hard to believe. I think that if they are so capable of resisting, why didn't they do it 4 years ago? If things were as they told us, we would not be enjoying the French wine now. January 17th. The military training went pretty well. We would have performed even better if Thomas hadn't chosen the wrong direction and almost got stuck in the mud. I would not like to be in his shoes now. There was a rumor that we may be sent to the Eastern Front again. That's not good news at all. There are too many bad memories I have with the Eastern Front. We decided to name our new tiger Frida in honor of the mother of the fallen Robert. We agreed it was a good name. I miss Robert. We better be careful. I heard there's a homosexual in First Company. I don't want to give him any idea that I'm one of them, since I don't have a significant other. I must find a sweetheart as soon as possible. January 19th. I have a birthday. We had a few shots that night celebrating my 30th birthday. My crew presented me with a new diary with the rune Das Reich on the cover. I am very impressed with it. It has a black leather cover and it fits in my breast pocket. Usha presented me with a model of the truck. Hog, that guy's really got a nerve. I also got new gloves, I hope it's not for sending me to Russia, and a new pencil set. The birthday celebration went much better this year than last year. My morale is still great, despite rumors of an upcoming transfer to Russia. January 21st, we moved on our tank to some small farm. The British fighters and bombers in the sky are getting to be a common thing. Today we saw a Messerschmitt in the sky. It was the first plane we had seen since the day we arrived in France. I'm beginning to lose sight of what the Luftwaffe even looks like. January 23rd. We're still performing our maneuvers in the rain. I hate this. It means Bertie is going to clean the tank when we get back. He still moans if I order him to do something like that. But now his moaning is much quieter. I have already had some nightmares about my days on the Eastern Front. Each one showed torn bodies and dead soldiers. Tomorrow I'll discuss it with the physician. May 23rd, 1944. We trained today. My Tiger was repaired and I was glad to settle into my seat after a 4-week break. We are on the march again. There's speculation and rumors of an Allied invasion at Calais are going strong still. I hope this is true, as the expectation and inactivity has begun to weigh me down. I've had enough of training with wooden targets. Another reinforcement has headed for the Eastern Front. I saw them. They are very young, but they are eager to fight. June 1st, 1944. We're on the move again. The commanders believe we should expect the Allies to come in this week. I don't think so. The weather's terrible. For 3 days now it's been raining like hell and the wind's getting worse. The good news is that the rain has washed our tank. Bertie's got a cold. They've put him in quarantine. This week is terribly boring. The latest replenishment seems to me to be a little too eager to fight. I think they will be killed in the first battles. We were ordered to paint over our rings of destroyed targets that we had put on the barrel of the gun at one time. They explained it was for camouflage purposes. That's absurd. But an order is an order, so I sent Bertie to paint over the rings. June 4th. Today we pushed closer to the town of Calais. I hate redeployment on the railroad as our tank needs to have its tracks changed and the outer row of rollers removed. The mechanics stacked the removed rollers on the back of the hull, something I'm not very happy to take up there also, these 2-ton tracks. We were eager to face these British and American tanks, about which the Italians said that they were quite weak. I can't wait to add more points to my score. I have 27 tanks destroyed by now. I don't expect I'll be able to beat Walter or Usha, because they have better gunners than my Karl. But I'm about to give it a good shot for that. June 6th. The sneaky Allies have landed in Normandy. That's a far away from us. We are still waiting for the order to be sent to the front. The more rapid divisions are already there, the lucky ones. The Allies intensified their aviation operations, and we had to shelter our Tigers in the woods. 2 tanks from the last reinforcements we've already lost. They were not fast enough to get to cover. They had too much wine last night, and now they've fallen into an eternal sleep. We all ask ourselves the same question. Why are we sitting here instead of heading for Normandy? I can't wait any longer. June 9th. Finally, we're on our way to Normandy. Those bloodthirsty Allied planes are wiping out our lines. We lost another 4 tanks. From now on, we will only advance at night. Our grenadiers are on the front lines. We have to reach there tomorrow night if things go well and none of us dies from enemy planes. June 10th. Finally, we reached the front. Our first mission in months. Karl missed his target and let 2 Churchill tanks go. What an idiot. After all, one was hit as well as 2 small armored personnel carriers. That's good to return to active combat operations, otherwise we've been too relaxed. We lost another tank as a result of an airstrike. Our ammunition supply trucks are stuck somewhere and are not showing up, so our advance goes much slower than we had hoped for. June 14th. We sit in the woods, ambushed. The intended march near the British troops has not yet begun. At least we have full ammunition. I heard Usha destroyed 6 targets today. He's way ahead of me now. It seems I'm about to lose my 100 marks. We haven't fired for 2 days. We eliminated a few infantrymen with machine gun fire. June 15th. Today we made an attack on a British column. Karl finally started to focus his sights on the targets. We destroyed 4 Cromwell tanks and 6 trucks. The British called in the Air Force, and the planes that flew in started bombing our woods. But Ulrich conducted excellent maneuvering and drove us out of the fire. It is getting dark now. I think I know another good place for an ambush. I'm planning to take my platoon there and set up an ambush for tomorrow. We joined a couple of Panzer IV from the Hitlerjugend division. I like these young guys who are good at fighting despite their young age. We intend to use them as bait to draw the British into our trap. Our platoon now only has 2 Tigers, ours and Thomas's. We lost 2 more tanks from the new reinforcement in the previous ambush during an air raid, June 16th. Well, our plan worked. Those stupid allies rushed for Panzer IV of the Hitlerjugend. We lost one of them, and its crew kept fighting as ordinary infantrymen. We destroyed 3 Sherman tanks. It seems to me that they were French tanks because they had big red, white and blue identifying marks and French names. Thomas shot down another 4 tanks, after which the others turned away. We need to hurry up and find a new place to ambush so we don't come under bombardment. We should be back at the base soon to replenish ammunition and refuel. June 17th. We returned to headquarters. I was reassigned to Usha's company and promoted to the rank of Hauptsturmführer. Of course I am glad, but I can't figure out why I got the next rank. Over there in the Leibstandarte they say Wittmann wiped out a whole column of allies. He's a lucky guy. As they say, the British were just moving right down the road. I wish I had targets like that too. Although there are so many enemy tanks around that Usha says we could easily do what Wittmann did. The British have moved up to the town of Caen, so we need to push forward there too. June 19th. We lost another 2 tanks in the air attacks today. We are fed up with this. I haven't seen a single one of our planes in the sky since the Allies landed. Where the hell are they? Our commanders have made an official complaint to that fat Göring. Surely he'll be able to hide from the air raids in an underground bunker, if he makes it through the door. June 20th. I destroyed 8 tanks today. Those were Cromwell's and Tommy Cooker's. The British pay absolutely no attention to their losses. They have attacked 3 times today, each time losing more and more tanks. I have never had such efficiency since my time on the Eastern Front. We haven't lost a single Tiger. I saw one of those new King Tigers. Wish I'd never served on one of those. Most of the men of our division are here. June 21st. I destroyed another 6 tanks. The British began attacking in waves again. I don't see any Allied aviation. Guess maybe Göring received our letter. We've lost 3 Tiger due to breakdowns. I hope they removed the engines in time. On June 22, 1944, Joachim, Karl and Bertie were captured by Canadian troops after an Allied plane broke one of the tracks of their Tiger. The radio operator Helmut Jürgens and driver Ulrich Gansheimer were both killed in this attack. Joachim's diary was found and returned to him after he was interrogated. It is probable that a Canadian war correspondent had copied his comments about Göring and used them in his reports for Canadian newspapers. However, this has not yet been proven. Joachim was sent to the infamous Comrie Nazi POW camp in Scotland because he was a Waffen-SS officer. At first, the cellmates almost beat him up for his negative comments about Göring, but after he explained that it was just his anger at the Luftwaffe's inaction, and he continued fighting and destroying Allied tanks after those comments, he was treated better. The Luftwaffe cellmates remained silent at all. He described his time in the camp quite well, despite the fact that the guards were Polish men who hated the Nazis very much. He felt more wary of his own countrymen. Joachim was released from the camp in 1946 and stayed in Scotland forever. He had a long life and died in February 2001 at the age of 87. That is all for today. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and support the channel by subscribing. Goodbye everyone, see you soon.